Welcome to the Make a Baby podcast. I'm Carolina Sotomayor, your podcast host and expert Reiki womb healer. Over the past 6 years, I've had the honor of helping over 75 babies come into the world through the power of Reiki. I believe that healing is not meant to be done alone, nor should it be. On this podcast, you'll hear amazing Reiki guided meditations, empowering healing tips, and taboo topics with a focus on inclusivity and representation. Are you ready for these conversations? I am. Let's get started. Hi, welcome back. This is the Make a Baby podcast, and I'm Carolina Sotomayor, your womb healer and podcast host. Today, we're talking about a journey that's very special to me because this human is one of my favorite humans on the planet. We're going to talk about how Reiki impacted Gabriella Negretti's preconception and beyond all the way through motherhood. So, Gabby, my love, how are you today?
I'm lovely. Thank you. How are you?
I ask this question to every podcast guest. Where are you in the world?
I am in Connecticut.
Okay, so you're US. You're stateside.
Yes, I'm stateside.
So a little bit about Gabby is we've known each other, for over a year now? Well over a year.
Oh, yeah. Almost 2, yeah.
2 years?
Yeah.
So Gabby, let's just dive in. So how did you find me?
I actually found you on TikTok. One of my fellow plus size creators that I became really good friends with, she saw me sharing my infertility journey and she was like, you need to talk to my friend. Sent me your bio, your TikTok link. And I was like, oh, follow, immediate follow. I started jumping on your lives and I jumped on your free calls and that's it. The rest is quite literally history.
Yeah. And then you joined the membership. It's now called Make a Baby membership. It was called a couple different names before the permanent name now. And I just fell in love with Gabby. Her energy is infectious. So tell us a little bit about your fertility journey and how did Reiki help you, I guess? And what was the end result?
Well, I'm sitting in a nursery. So I started trying to conceive about almost 6 years ago now. My husband and I had just got married, and we knew that we always wanted, I knew that my purpose on this earth was to be a mother. Obviously, with being a little bit plus size, I had several medical professionals just never really listening to me. I would try to go back at them, and their automatic was, "You're just big." I tried for 5 years, not protecting, constantly trying, tracking ovulation. Nothing was going on. Nothing was happening. Obviously, we weren't getting pregnant. I reached out to a fertility clinic. We got testing done. We found out that I had low AMH, so I have diminished ovarian reserve, which pretty much means that I have low egg count. They said that my Hail Mary, for lack of a better term, was that I was still quote unquote young, which I did not think I was. So it was very nice to hear that. But they said that I was quote unquote young, and that the good thing about that was even though my egg quantity was low, the egg quality was still pretty good. So they immediately thought that I'd be a good candidate for IVF. Well, we went into the IVF realm, which is kind of when I joined. Actually, that is when I joined the membership with you. I remember it was like right before my first transfer. I had like my pictures of my embryos and I was on your call and I was like putting the pictures next to you, like hoping some kind of like energy would go through. Yeah, we had 2 failed transfers. We didn't get any more embryos. We had 2 embryos, and I just kind of took a step back after IVF, really leaned in heavily to the what's now the Make a Baby membership, and really started healing myself, healing my ancestral traumas, like letting go of things that were toxic to me that I didn't even realize were as toxic to me as I thought that they were, and kind of had a conversation with myself, with my husband, that we kind of wanted to take a step back from IVF. We were going to give ourselves till the end of the year. This was last year or a year and a half ago. Give ourselves to the end of the year before, if anything, we would go back to try IVF. And within 4 months of healing and really letting into that, I was pregnant. We had to do medication, so it wasn't 100% natural, but like wholeheartedly thank Reiki for that, because I mean, obviously, yes, the meds helped, but it was the moment I started healing that, and truly, truly devoting myself to healing, because yes, through IVF, I was on your calls and I was in the membership, but my brain kind of really wasn't there. And I remember you always say, like, if you don't want this super bad, then don't work with me yet. Like, like the people
Gosh,
that,
I'm so harsh.
no, I love it. It's the best. You need the harshness. It's the tough love and it's genuine love because I have never found that connection with anybody else that just so wholeheartedly wants this for you. And it's like, okay, well, get it done or stop making excuses and just go for it. So it was really
Yeah.
when you and I had a conversation, which I really like. I remember like it was quite literally yesterday. I was like, this is it. Like, this is my breaking point. I need to start healing me. And I did. And 4 months in, yeah, got a little baby growing.
And how old is baby now?
Baby is going to be 10 months. I cannot believe that.
You're
Um,
lying to me.
I swear he's going to be 10 months on July 6th. So
I
he's
have
9 months right
goosebumps
now.
everywhere.
Well, he's 9 months
10.
actual age. I know. Yes. Yes.
I have
We,
goosebumps everywhere.
we are
So this,
planning a first birthday party and it is absolutely nauseating to me.
so your Reiki baby is,
Hmm.
wait, you said did you say real age or adjusted age? What did you say?
Actual age is 9 months. Adjusted age, he's 6 months.
Okay.
So he
Can
was
you
three
explain the
months early.
difference?
Of
So
course.
he was a
So
preemie. So can you
yes,
explain? Because I don't think everyone is well versed in that if they have never had or been exposed to a story of a preemie. I don't think many know. And I'm not super versed in preemie. So can you explain it for
of
us?
course. So my little Reggie baby decided that he was just impatient and he met us at 27 weeks and 4 days. So he was born 3 months early. So when they do ages, when they're premature like that, you basically subtract. So the actual age now becomes his due date. So his due date, he became age 0. He was apparently born. Up until then, he's like, it goes by gestation. So when he was like 10 weeks old, he was actually 37 weeks, not 10 weeks, if that makes sense. So when you do ages, so his actual age would be his birthday. So his birthday is September 6th. So on July 6th, he will be 10 months old, which is unreal. But because he was born 3 months early, you kind of subtract 3 months from that, if that makes sense.
Wait, can't
So
you just do two parties?
that's what I said. You know what? That is what I said. And I'm going to bring that
Like,
up again.
because, okay, I know your story pretty well and I follow you
Yeah.
religiously. And you and I have, like, we've been consistent in communication.
Hmm.
Why not celebrate? Because I believe, like, the greatest thing I've been doing this year has been
Hmm.
celebrating more.
100%.
Why not celebrate? Like, even if it's just your family and your mom, like, do a big
Yeah.
thing and decide when that works best for you. But,
Heck
like,
yeah.
why not, like, celebrate twice? Because, like, he is a true miracle baby.
Oh, yeah. I actually do. I acknowledge both dates. So,
Good. Because that's
yeah.
something significant you endured.
Heck yeah. Absolutely. And I still like, he is a 10-month-old baby, but if you saw him, he's very, like when people are like, how old is he? I was like, he's 9 months, but he's really only 6 months because he was a premature baby. Like, I always feel the need to have to like over explain why he's kind of like small for a 9-month-old. But he was actually born on my father-in-law's birthday. My father-in-law passed away in 2018,
So
which
sorry.
was a huge part of us, like our story and trying to get pregnant. Lots of signs from him when I was pregnant and right before. So the fact that he came so early in the morning on my father-in-law's birthday was so bittersweet. That's like, that was Mike's best friend. So we do wholeheartedly celebrate that day, but I will always, always, always acknowledge his due date and his like adjusted birthday because I do believe he should be celebrated twice, Like I celebrate
So
everything with that child. Oh yeah.
I do too. We only have one kid, so I savor. When we got engaged, we had the conversation when we were dating, but it was more like we wanted one kid and we started to
Yep.
like, what kind of life do you want and what are we going to do together? And we had always thought of ourselves as like a micro family. We just wanted one kid and we
So
wanted to
cute.
travel the world. And didn't know how that was all going to play out, but we had really just really wanted one kid, and I had my reasons and Ryan had his reasons, and collectively that made sense for us together. So when I got pregnant, I just walked around like I was Queen Sheba, and I was like, if this is the only time I'm ever going to be pregnant in my life, and this is my mentality of what I went through back in 2016, was, I'm going to do this to the nines. I'm extra. I own it. And like, I just want to remember this is like, if it's a one-time experience and I never get to do this again, I want to remember.
Yeah,
So that's how we approach a lot of things in our household of like, what can we do to make this memorable? Are we taking photos? We have a lot of Polaroid cameras.
100%. My phone storage is like mega full.
I buy extra every month. I pay that
Oh yeah.
$9.99 to Apple.
I'm still at the $3.99. I'm
No,
still sitting at 3.
I have the cloud storage a lot. I have a lot of videos.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
So you mentioned some things you need to heal. Do you
Mhm.
feel comfortable sharing what like some of those things that you had to heal?
Yeah, for sure. So, one of my biggest things is my relationship with my father. We never really had a severed relationship. It wasn't any of those like, oh, you need to forgive him and move on. It was genuinely just, I always said, like, oh, I'm not that big of a daddy's girl. Like, I am through and through a mama's girl. My mom is like my best friend.
I
My
love
dad
that.
was kind of there, like you love him because he's your family and you just kind of keep going through life like that. And
Yeah.
there were just some things that like you would have never known that you brought up to me that I was like, oh, that's blocking things for me. Like, oh, okay, I guess I'll dive deep into that you don't even realize growing up that impacted you that like will affect you when you're an adult. Like you said something like you need to make sure that your inner child like feels safe. You need to realize that you're an adult and that you're safe. You're not a kid anymore. And I'm at first again, like my relationship with my dad was never anything crazy. So I
Right.
just never brought it up. Like, wait, what do you mean? Like there's so many other people who I know that have like these horrible
Right.
severed father relationships. And I'm like, that wasn't me. So I just never thought like, oh, like I'm not gonna have to heal that. I'm confident that he won't listen to this. So he got married to a woman who's not the best, just very, very toxic. And I needed to remove myself from that. I am a through and through a yes man. I will bend backwards and snap for everybody else's comfort. And I needed to learn to stop that. I needed to learn to set boundaries, which was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It's just
Mm.
very hard for me to say no. It's very hard for me to stand my ground because I wholeheartedly just will always want to please everybody else before I please myself. And that's not like a martyr thing. That's just a genuine, that is just how I thrive off other people's happiness. And I needed to learn to set boundaries. I needed to learn to walk away from the toxic, even if that means that they are family. My new favorite saying is that your title in my life does not make you entitled to me or to my child. If
It's
you do not make
powerful.
effort, I, if you do not make effort and you're not going to match my effort to be in your life, then you don't need to be there. And that goes for family, friends, whatever. And I think that a lot of the time when it comes to family, there's like a gray area and people don't want to cut them
No,
out because it's
uh,
family.
100%. You're like speaking my soul. I
Yeah.
told that once to my mother-in-law, and I will do anything for her.
Hmm.
And the reason why is that she shows up for us.
100%.
She shows up. And for me, as a person that has been abandoned by a lot of family members or who have been rejected by family members who just said, peace out. And it's like I moved Christmas up one day and this past Christmas because Ryan's family were going to meet at her house and we had all said we were doing Christmas separately,
Love
but then
that.
we decided. So I told, like, we pretended Christmas came early and we did Christmas early at our house, like Christmas Eve, Noche Buena, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We did it on a Saturday. So then we told Ollie, was like, oh, Christmas happened. And then we drove
I love it.
then on that Sunday this past Christmas, which would have been, I guess, Christmas Day, to her house so that we could have Christmas together. And I wouldn't have done that if she had not invested in me. But I'll be really frank. My mom, I can't get her to come here. I've
Hmm.
offered to pay her ticket, but she goes on other trips with other people. I'm not chasing you.
Nope.
I'm not chasing you.
Nope.
So, and that's just really honest. Like, just like what you said, like, I'm not going to beg you to be here. And I will reciprocate. If you put energy into this, I will put
Yep.
energy back. And if you don't make me feel like supported or like I matter to you, then
Hmm.
I'm going to have a conversation and then I'm going to
100%.
exit.
Yep. And I will admit that is way easier to do once I became a mom.
Oh,
Once my
100%.
son
I
was
didn't have
here,
the
or once
balls
I was,
before.
yep,
No.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Once I was even pregnant, I immediately was like, I will cut you out, like without even thinking twice, because how I allow people to treat me is showing an example for my child. I didn't know if it was a boy or girl, but whatever, my son, to
Mm-hmm.
allow people to treat him. And I won't stand for that. And I always said that I'm going to raise children that know their worth and that people don't have to be afraid of. In order for him to learn healthy relationships, he needs to learn healthy boundaries. And that was something that for me personally, I was just like, oh, well, I can be uncomfortable because it's just me. I can handle it. I'm an adult. I can process my emotions another time. But I didn't realize how hard it was actually affecting me deep down. So, yeah, like my dad is still very much in my life, but I'm not going to call him if he doesn't want to come meet my kid, if he doesn't want to be around my kid. That's on you to live with, not on me. I'm happy with where I am, with the decisions that I made. And that's it. And it's like the biggest thing that I needed to learn to heal to get pregnant was the boundaries and the just like toxic things that you don't realize are actually poisoning you more than you think they are.
Wow, that's super powerful.
Well, it's because of you. So you're freaking amazing.
Thank you. I received that in
Of
the
course.
words of Elise Myers.
Yes.
I'm a hot lady. So Reiki helps you get pregnant. And that essentially
Mm-hmm.
is these issues, you really leaned into your healing and it opened up that sacral plexus chakra, which is essentially what is needed in order to get pregnant. And then from there, once you were pregnant, did Reiki help you through your pregnancy and postpartum, or talk about
Oh, yeah.
that? How did
So
it
I
further
personally,
impact you?
100%. So I personally thought that Reiki was like the absolute number one amazing thing to get me pregnant. And then it's so funny because when you think that something's like the greatest and then something else happens and it like is still there, you're like, wow, it's better than what I thought it was. Like, holy moly, I thought it was like the best thing ever to get me pregnant. And now here I was in my pregnancy and I was like, whoa, wow, wait, it's better now. Like, hold on, wait, it's helping me more now. And then postpartum, I was like, no, 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 wait, now it's definitely helping me more than it did then. Like, it just kept showing up because you kept showing up. So it is hugely to you. But pregnancy wise, I was an anxious ball. I was a mess. I was a hot mess.
I
But I
was too.
did, yeah, I definitely tried to, like you said earlier, celebrate every milestone every week. I literally would take pictures. I wasn't even changing. Like I'm a big girl. I could hide pregnancy for a while. Like it was fine. But I was just celebrating little things. My husband and I would go on dates every week, like when would hit our new week, or I would buy things once a week just like to collect for the baby. And it helped center me. It helped ground me a little bit just to kind of like keep my anxiety at bay. The doctor's appointments, obviously, when you go through fertility treatments, you're monitored way more closely. And then at 15 weeks, things started to get a little complicated. I was put on modified bed rest. Everything started going downhill. But you know,
Things
it started getting really
accelerated.
scary and complicated. Yeah. So I was reaching out to you all the time, and even just a message of like, I see you, or like reminding me, like, hey, like, do your meditation, breathe, like stuff like that. As simple as that may sound to some people, it could literally make or break you. Like it could be the reason why you like it helped me keep at bay a panic attack, if that makes sense. I mean, when you're
Like
sitting
move
there,
through what you're feeling.
yes, yes. I remember the day that everything was going on when things first started going downhill, I was sitting in the like triage for labor and delivery. My mind was quite literally racing. Like I think it was a version of like my life flashing before my eyes, but it was my whole fertility like journey. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, if this ends right now, like, oh my gosh, I have to start over again. And I remember my heart breaking and then them finding him on the ultrasound and he was okay, thank goodness. And I was like, oh my God, like, holy moly, what is like the emotions just completely escalated and then like still really scary, and yes, he was fine, thank goodness, but again processing all of that and processing the emotions and processing the trauma, and it just kept going for 12 weeks until he finally made his entrance. So that is definitely a high stress situation, and so the biggest thing that Reiki did for me was just keeping me calm when I was freaking out. I mean, you're always going to have the freakouts. I don't think anything can ever take that away. But that little reminder, it was like that little reminder in the back of my head to be like, wait, yes, this is scary. Yes, this isn't how it's supposed to go. But he's here. He's safe. You're okay. You're pregnant another day. Celebrate that. And kind of like switch my perspective on how I was thinking. I was always I didn't like to say negative, but I was always a very realistic human with like, just give it to me straight. Like, don't beat around the bush. I can process news, but I needed to shift my perspective to attract what I wanted instead of what I was afraid of. Because what's that
That's
movie?
really powerful. I'm going to mark it so we can do a clip.
I feel like there's a movie where it's like your brain, it shows you what you're actually afraid of and not what's actually there. And I think that that's a huge part of my life in general, but specifically for my fertility and my pregnancy was I was so set on, oh my goodness, I don't want to lose this baby. Oh my goodness, I need this to go okay. I just need him to be okay. That I was like, wait a minute, you're forgetting to stop and like be grateful that he is okay. Like he is okay. We're pregnant again. We're pregnant in another day. And I think I was creating this alternate reality in my brain of everything that I was afraid of going wrong. And it, you could sink into that. And Gabby, without Reiki, probably very much, I would have 100% sank into that feeling. So it definitely helped me a lot.
So baby came early, preemie,
Mm-hmm.
and then you
Oh yeah,
spent 88 days in NICU.
yeah. He spent 88 days in the NICU, which
When you,
was, I'm very grateful. I need to just preface that because I know how bad it could have been. I know that there are people whose babies are not as fortunate, and I literally say the word fortunate because I don't even know another term to use for that. Like I know how lucky we are that he was okay and that he was only in the NICU for 88 days. Like he came home on his due date. And
oh, that's so, oh,
that's
goosebumps everywhere.
big
So
for a
wait a minute.
27 weeker.
Oh, my goodness. But okay, I just have to ask this question of you
Go ahead. Yeah, of course.
because this is what I think of you.
Okay.
When you think about the journey and you reflect about like the times, the attempts that you had before
Mhm.
and getting pregnant with this little nugget and then carrying him to 27 weeks and then doing the 88 days. And now he is 10 months old. Do you see yourself as a powerful person?
Oh, so hard.
Because you did
Yes,
that. Like you
yes.
did that. Like your
I,
husband was
I,
there too, but it
yes.
was your uterus,
Hmm.
your surgery to have him. Like, did you give birth vaginally or did they do C-section? They probably had to do C-section, or
They
what
had
did
to
they
do an
do?
emergency C-section. The original intention was to do vaginal delivery. It switched on us literally at midnight the morning of he was born, which was another like non-coincidence in my brain because it was my father-in-law's birthday. They needed to do an emergency C-section because my contractions were so strong that his heart rate was dropping. So I
Happened with
was
Ollie too.
flipped.
His
Yeah,
heart
I
rate was
flipped.
dropping. Yeah.
Yep. And that's
Um,
very common apparently, but I had a
super.
27 weeker. I wasn't playing around with that. Like, get him out.
No, yeah, no, it totally makes
Yeah.
sense. That's
Yeah.
why Western medicine is so brilliant. There is amazing things that save lives all the time.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna ask the question again. You went through a
It's a
lot.
hard one. I
I
know.
know. I want to plant the seed. Like,
No, I definitely, I
you're a
know that
powerful
when,
person, not just you're a strong person, but like you did what people said were impossible for you.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me to look at it
I
that way.
know,
Like,
but
I
I'm
know I
probably,
am.
I
I
want you
know I
to
am.
really, like, I am a powerful person. Eventually, you'll
Yeah.
get there. I'll ask 3 months from
Yeah.
now and you'll say, yes, I believe that.
I don't know if it's just my personality in general and how I am. I think that yes, I am strong, but again, like everybody that's like, "Oh, you're so powerful." Well, I didn't have any other choice. What was I going to be? I couldn't be anything else. I had to do this. But the powerful person in my opinion here is not me, it's my child. He did that, not me. It was him. Like I was just his I call it I was just his easy big
I
oven.
know,
Like
but
he easy
I
big
will,
oven.
no, I will counter this.
Okay.
I will counsel this. I did hypnosis for maybe like 6 months straight. I went weekly for like a couple years ago. And this lady said to me about my mom. And
Hmm.
she said, if you came out this powerful and this tenacious and this like I have such a deep desire to impact the world. She
Hmm.
goes, you and I describe myself, I'm a lot. I am quite a bit. I'm intense. I know my energy and I am fully aware of who I am and what I do to people.
I love that about you, honestly.
Thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
what does that say about my mom?
Yeah.
Because a weak person could never birth a person that has this much to them or
Mhm.
this much energy about them. So when she told me that, she goes, "So don't think of your mom as a weak person." And I thought to myself, "Oh shit." Here I am thinking,
She
my
right.
mom and I are on good terms, but like there are certain things that I battle with in my
Mhm.
head.
Mhm.
And if you had asked me 10 years ago if I would have a relationship with my mom, it would have been a no. I do think of her. Her strength and her power are different than mine, but her strength and power were to ensure that I got here and
Valid.
XYZ. So I always like to think of like, I have body image issues and like I struggle with confidence just like everyone else.
Mhm.
And I think about like my body, or all you might see my C-section scar, and I carry a lot of weight around that scar area. My
Mhm.
stomach is shaped differently because of the scar. So it's not exactly pleasant to look at. But I remember I breastfed for 4 years, and that's powerful. So like, and
That's
again,
incredible.
I am surprised too, trust me. But I think that it's important for women, especially women that are going through fertility, to find and look at your journey and reflect upon. And I dare challenge every person, every listener, think of yourself as powerful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to be so strong. I'm sorry you had to be so resilient. But to counter what you said, I didn't have any other choice. You actually did. Some people
Yeah.
walk away, some people cower, and some people can't cope, but you
Mhm.
kept going. And so
Thanks.
I
That's
push
really
back
sweet.
on that. Like you could have quit,
Yeah.
but you are so powerful that you didn't. And you showed up every day, even when you were hurting.
Yeah.
And for me, that's power from your soul. And I am so privileged to
Stop
watch
it.
you. But I think
Thank
that's
you.
important because when
It's so
people are
sweet.
listening,
No,
they're going to be impacted by your story. They're going to be
thank you.
impacted, be like, oh my gosh, I don't have any more hope. I've done Clomid, I've done IVF. There's a lot of common threads in your story that other
Mhm.
women will be able to relate to. Failed
Yeah.
IVF attempts. I know you've changed clinics too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
twice.
yeah. So, like, people have
Yeah.
done different clinics. They have had failed IVF attempts. They've done Clomid. And particularly, I wanted you to come on one because I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you too.
But like, your story is hopeful.
Thank you.
I know that it's very easy to go through something and not see the journey, like the behaviors. Like, so it's very easy not to see yourself as a powerful person. But and it's also not, may not see how your story could impact so many, but your story certainly has all the elements too, and it impacts
Thank
me.
you.
So
You're so sweet. What the heck?
I'm just
I
an
think
honest
that
person.
I genuinely think that a lot of my power, I was riding that power wave. When I got pregnant and I would go to the clinic, they're like, "Oh, this was a Clomid baby after like failed IVF." And I was like, "Yes, I did this," because how many times my doctor pushed back and I literally told her what to do. And several times since then, like I've emailed her and been like, "I need this." And she's like, "Okay, no problem." Like she doesn't even question me anymore because I've showed her that I know myself better than anyone else and I know my body and I know what I need. So if we're riding the
That's
power wave, I would like to encourage people who are listening to keep fighting for you. I mean,
100%.
there will be times
Speak.
in your journey where you want to give in, and there were times where I really toyed with the idea of like, okay, like not everyone is meant to have a biological family. Like convincing myself that I'd be okay with it, and I knew deep down that I was not going to be okay with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just physically felt I was hurting. I needed to be a mom, like biological mom right now. And I just kept pushing. And when you get that pushback from anybody, you push back harder. And that was where a lot of my power lied. I think through healing and through Reiki, I was able to find my strength and my voice. And I learned to speak up for me,
That's the
setting
whole point
boundaries.
of womb
Yeah.
healing
Yep.
is
And
that
that's,
your throat chakra has a direct meridian line, which is an
hmm
energetic highway into your womb. And your womb is
yeah.
your sacral plexus chakra. And in there is your worthiness and your emotions of how you feel them, how you express them,
Mm-hmm.
how long do you hold on to them or do you release them.
Yeah.
So you saying that you found your voice came directly from the Reiki womb healing, where you're
Yeah.
like, because you felt strong enough to be
Yeah.
more authentically yourself and ask for what you needed.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that will forever change your family tree. Because
100%.
once you have that in your being and you're like, oh shit, I get results this way, you get more of what you want, because that's an
Mm-hmm.
instantly higher vibration. And people
Yep.
pay attention to that, because when you borrow confidence versus like when you're speaking and you have purpose behind it, that
Yep.
assertiveness in your voice, in the pitch in your voice, is so much more commanding of a room than if
Yep.
it's borrowed.
100%. And I think
Such a
that I was afraid
badass.
of being assertive. I appreciate you. You taught me how to be one, and you were too. So I
Thanks.
was
I'll
I was
take that
afraid of the word
compliment.
assertive, and I kept saying I was really passionate. And I think that that's what kind of sparked my okay.
You
Well,
do say that
one
word a lot. You do say
passionate.
passionate.
Yeah,
I'm
like
like,
one
it's
match starts
cool.
the fire. Let's do it. Like let's just drop one, and it'll be a domino effect. So
When I get excited, I'm like, rewrite it, Dawn.
I
Like
do that too. I'm like, ladies, we ride at dawn. I'm not
Ryan's
awake at
like, we're
dawn
not
anymore,
lighting
but
the
we'll be
world on
ready.
fire, Carol. I was like, it's going down today. He's like, what's happening? I was like, I just drank a quart of iced tea. I literally drank a quart of instant sweet tea
It's
today.
amazing. It's freaking amazing, honestly.
So I'm going to ask you a candid question about
Yeah.
advice to give to another person. So
Okay.
for the person that's about to give up hope
Okay.
on continuing to try or doing fertility treatments or whatever it may be, they're losing hope in their fertility journey. What is one piece of advice that you have for them?
Oh, first of all, I would hug them hard because I was there. And I'm emotional and I always hug. So that's automatically a hug is
Oh
gonna
my
happen.
gosh, I love
Just go
hugs.
find someone. Yeah, like find someone and just hug. One piece of advice to not give up hope. I immediately want to say don't. But the reason why I'm gonna retract that is because I think that in the fertility community, when people are ready to give up, people say, never lose hope. And hearing that as someone who's still in the trenches is quite literally like hearing a teacher scrape her nails up against a chalkboard. Because unless you are in this, you will never know what it feels like. And I think that it is
It's true.
not uncommon to give up hope, to be on that verge of, I'm losing it. And I think that I would say this is probably not like great advice, like, oh, geez, thanks, Gab, but honor where you are. And I say
I think
that
that's great
with
advice.
a lot of things in every journey that I've embarked on in my life, and there's been a lot. Honor where you are. And if you are in that space right now where you are feeling like it's never going to happen for you, honor that, feel that. And if you genuinely, in your heart of hearts, are feeling like you need to find another way to make a family, then do that. But if you still feel that little, all you need is that little voice that just says, keep going. That's not a coincidence. That's not a little voice. That is a don't
Actually, I
stop.
would say
And
that's probably a ding, like a flick. It's a hint
yeah.
from your spirit baby.
And believe me, I know it will be very subtle because I was there 2 years ago where I was completely done. I was crying every night. I genuinely was about to like give up on not just that, but on very many things in my life. And there was just that one when people just kept saying to me, like, oh, well, like there are other ways to be a family and adopt and look into and there's nothing wrong with those. And I still say to Mike, like
But it
when our
wasn't for
kids
you.
it
And
wasn't at
you
that
knew.
time. Yes,
Right.
it wasn't at that time for me. And the fact that every time they would say that, it would get to me was my sign of, okay, I'm honoring where I am. I'm honoring the fact that this is freaking hard and that this isn't fair. But I think a lot of the time, a lot of the people in the fertility community might hate me for this, but a lot of the time with fertility stuff, it's a never ending circle of this sucks and it's not fair. And yes, it does suck. And yes, it is not fair. And yes, it's horrible that some people could just, oops, I'm pregnant. But it doesn't make you any less of a human. And sinking into the honoring where you are is different than allowing that to completely consume your soul. So instead, I was very much the person of like, yes, it sucks, but don't pity me. I'm going to come out on the other end of this. And I kind of like looked those feelings quite literally like in the face. And I was like, F you, I'm going to rise above and I'm going to show you that I'm going to do this because of the people telling me that I can't. So I almost
Mm.
did it like in spite of people telling me I can't. Yeah, but
You know,
there was just a little, it
I've
was just
gotten
this
to a lot of good
little,
places being spiteful in my life.
honestly, yeah, same. 10 out of 10 recommend. No, but it was just this littlest pull that just said keep going. And like I wish it was like this great advice, but like genuinely, I that's kind of all I got right now
No, but
for advice.
it's something that I would recommend too. Honor where you're at. And I
Hmm.
think on like knowing where you're at, but also honoring what you need.
Yes,
I have
100%.
literally have told some people, you don't need me right now. I need you to
Hmm.
go be a human being. I need you to go date your husband or your spouse. I need you to go live a little bit and
Yep.
then you'll be ready for healing. But sometimes people need a break where like we've
Hmm.
had some people where they're like on a hiatus, like Kristen, who was on the
Hmm.
podcast. She did healing for a whole year before she tried to conceive with IVF again. And she had one embryo and she got pregnant. And now he's very
Yep.
similar age to yours.
Yeah, he's I think 2 months. There's not a big difference. I think there may be in like a 6 week difference.
They're very close in age.
Yeah.
And I think honoring where you're at is really great and doing that frequent check in because your needs might change. And where you're at is not like a milestone of like things you've checked off or the supplements you've taken or your to do list. It's not that,
Hmm.
it's your emotional state and your mental
100%.
state. And sometimes, because when you're going through fertility, it's consuming. When you're going through fertility treatments, it's all about that. There's not much space or mental capacity
No.
for much else. There's a lot of timetables to do, a lot of like visits to do, a lot of medications to take. So sometimes I advise people, and if we're doing like a Reiki session and I scan them, a lot of the times is I need you to go live a little bit because it's almost like you stop living for a little bit, like
Yep.
while you're going through these treatments and while you're attempting, because it's also consuming. It's like a
Yeah.
restoration of joy, restoration of learning to laugh again through this time.
Yep.
Go out to eat. Like, do you need to take a little trip? Do you need to go away for the weekend? Do you need to do some meditation
Hmm.
alone?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there is what your needs are and what your emotional state are going to be different, but I think it's really important to do that acknowledgement and check in with
Hmm.
yourself. So
Oh yeah.
it's the best advice you could have given, I think. So do you have any summer plans with you and your babe and your hubs?
Yeah, so much. So we actually just came back yesterday from our first family vacation. So my sister is 2 years younger than me. One of them is 2 years younger than me, and we are actually 6 weeks apart. We were pregnant together. So she had a baby girl, and I had my boy, and we both made our mom a nonna for the first time. And the joy is like literally unmatched. I got the goosebumps. I could probably cry because of it. Like I love her child so much, and she loves my son, and just seeing them together because we're
It's a
so
really
close is
special
just so
time
magical.
in your life then.
100%.
I thought they
Yeah.
were cousins. I didn't know that was well the duh. That's
Yeah, they are. They're
duh,
cousins.
duh,
Yep.
duh, duh, Carol. I thought
Yeah.
maybe it was your cousin who had well, now
Who
that
had
you
the
explain,
baby?
I
It's my
thought it was your
sister.
cousin who had a baby.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then
yeah.
it
No,
was
it's my
like
sister.
your cousin and the baby was a
They're
cousin, but that would they
cousins.
would be
Yeah.
cousins if it was your
They're still
sister.
cousins. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
They're first cousins.
ah, ah.
We
Anyway,
vacay. We got a family vacay for like a few days over the weekend. And then in August, we're going on a big Florida trip together too. So it'll be nice. We're going to be in Disney for my son's first birthday. And yes, I know he will not remember it, but you know who's going to remember it? Me and Mike. So you know what? We're
oh,
doing it.
just go. My recommendation for postpartum and traveling with babies, just do it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had so much
100%.
fun traveling with Ollie. Like literally, we traveled
Yep.
so much his first 2 years. He was a flippin' like pro at
Yep.
traveling.
Yep.
Now, when I ask him like traveling, I mean, he just walks on there like with his little backpack with his little
That's
mini
it. That's all he
backpack.
needs.
It's like literally, I would give him the little gift cards to give to the flight
Yep.
attendants. He's like, here you go. And
I
now
love
he's
him.
like, I don't think I like flying anymore. I was like, what?
Done it too much, Mom?
He hasn't been on one in a year. But the
Oh
thing
my
is
goodness.
that he's so strong-willed now
He's so
that when he
stinking
says he
cute.
won't do something,
He will not.
it's like a very
Yeah.
physical no. Like, even if like, no, we're doing this as a family, we're getting on, there will be like, he will do something physically to exit the scene. So if we got to the airport and he didn't want to go through TSA,
He's not
like
going.
he would take off.
Yeah.
He so sometimes I get a little scared. Like when he says
Challenging
these
him.
like declarative statements, oh no, but it's like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
No. Like,
Yeah.
we're looking for tickets. Let me show you where I want to take you. And then he learned my language. That's a hard no. What? What did you? No, I'm
Wait,
telling you,
who
like,
taught
this
you
is what
that?
what? Like,
It's
that's when
so
Ryan
funny.
just exits. So
Yeah.
anyway, do you have any postpartum goals that you haven't met yet that I can help you with or that
Oh
I
yeah.
can give insight on before we leave?
I'm going to continuously work on healing because of the traumatic everything that happened in the last 5 years. I feel like my life was like on pause. I mean, everyone's life was on pause for 3 years,
So
anyways.
true.
But like, I feel like I just woke up again. Like my alarm clock went off, and I'm like, oh, I got to go back into life. Except now I'm 6 years older. My body is completely different, and good luck.
I didn't wake
Let's
up
try to
until
do it again.
16 months when Ollie was 16. It took
Yeah,
me a while to wake up. That waking up
yeah.
is a real
And
thing.
I feel like I know that the version of me pre baby is never, I mean, I don't want to be that person again. But
Facts. Me either.
balancing finding me outside of being a wife, outside of now being this little human's mom is something that's very important to me. And I know that a lot of people are like, no, that's my whole identity. And it is. Like, I love to be my son's mom, but to be the best mom to him, I need to find me again. So we're working on that. And we're working on, getting
I
back
think it
into the
takes
whole
time
fitness thing
too.
and working full time from home now and balancing a very rambunctious child. It's a work in progress, and we're honoring where we are, and we're embracing the freaking journey, and we're just gonna keep trucking along.
I will give you some unsolicited advice that I didn't learn until Ollie was 3, but I wish I had learned it sooner. And I don't know where I picked it up exactly, but it's literally how I make a lot of decisions now. We're going to do this now until it no longer works.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
And we have a family bedroom, so we all sleep in one bedroom because
Mm-hmm.
homie does not like to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. And having such a healthy attachment. Uh, but you're sleeping in your own bed now. So like
Yeah.
we co-slept forever. So I just got him in his own bed this year. And I did co-sleeping with him because we breastfed for so long, but then he
Yeah.
couldn't sleep without me. And then one day after I got karate chopped with a foot in my eyeball, I was lucky I didn't have a black eye. I woke up and I said, this no longer works for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it's really important. I had made declarations of like, we're only going to do Montessori school private schooling. And then that private school turned out to be not what it was cracked up to be. And the
Yeah.
people were not doing what they were supposed to. And then that's when I developed, we are going to do this until it no longer works.
100%.
And Ollie will have long hair until it no longer works for him
And his hair
or
is
until he
beautiful.
doesn't let me take care of it. But I think that's the best thing to have in postpartum is to know that, in the words of one of my other favorite people, Winner Fodderell, was she had said this about her fertility, was she goes, I wish I had let my fertility unfold the way it was supposed to. So also with your postpartum, give it space for you to unfold as a person. You might discover certain things about yourself that are different and that are really great. I discovered I was a patient person versus being a hurricane before. I certainly wouldn't want to go back to the person I was before pregnancy. I'm still an intense person, but I'm calmer. I'm calm.
Yep.
And I'm also patient. I was not a patient person before that person came out of me. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored, honestly.
I am obsessed with you. And friends, I want you to go ahead and go to the show notes, and I want you to grab my Womb to Dream Connection Sleep Meditation for connecting with Spirit Baby. And this is one of our favorite Reiki meditations in the Make a Baby membership. And while you have your phone open, assuming you're listening to my voice right now on your mobile device, go ahead and open your Instagram app and follow me at the Carolina Sotomayor. I'd love to hear from you, and I will send you a voice note back when you DM me. Let me know what topic you want me to talk next or speak to next. And until then, let the Reiki flow, and I'll see you back here next time. Feeling hopeless in your fertility journey, fearful that you'll never become pregnant? The Make a Baby membership was created just for you, using the exact methods of Reiki that helped me conceive my son. We've helped over 75 babies come into this world by removing blockages from the womb and body with our powerful Reiki techniques. Visit carolinasotomayor.com to join the Make a Baby membership today.